welcome to the Gopherwatch League. Tonight we got what's looking to be a pretty sick match between the Galapagos Gremlins and the Plymouth PMAs here with I think the Gremlins having a 2-0 record. Um
Yeah, and then the Plymouth PMAs 1-1, having one just barely out of ahead of the Booty Shorts in the 6-map series, and they losing to the Gaming Golems in a 2-3 just recently. So both these teams looking kind of competitive. We'll have to see how the matchup goes, but yeah, I think everyone in the lobby looks ready, and we can go right on in.
yeah, toss us into it. I feel like I mean the standings are just kind of crazy, right? Because it's the beginning of the year or the season. But there is kind of that transitive property, I guess, if you want to choose or if you want to believe in it, right?
Right.
The Gremlins did 3-0 the Golems, and then the Golems did beat the PMA. So, um,
Looks like team's not ready, but yeah, I mean, early on here, looking at the the win-loss records, we're still trying to figure out which teams are looking strong, which teams are struggling more, and with the little experience we have so far, just going off of like who's beaten who and who beats who. A lot of times these teams end up being more like rock paper scissory than like a strict like tier ladder. So it can always be kind of hard to tell which teams are actually good, and people are changing things around. Teams are learning really quick how to work with each other. So it's hard to tell early on when the teams are growing so much and their synergies just getting kicked off, which teams are the top tier ones. But I'm sure in a couple weeks, after getting a couple more games under our belts, we'll have a better idea of which teams are the top of the standings and which ones are a little more competitive.
for sure.
But I will say both of these teams looking really strong here. I mean, both teams having solid tank lines, and then notably the PMAs having just sort of a balanced roster, sort of all around. You have Ekrim on the DPS role. The Kraken is a great shot caller. I just remember looking and playing against that team on their scrims, and they were looking very solid together as a stack. And then the Gremlins as well, showing that they're a good team with their record on its own. Even you don't even really have to look at the roster, but they are a well-rounded team.
For sure. I think both teams have like good players in each role, so it's definitely well-rounded. Definitely a lot of potential for some good teamwork and coordination coming out from both teams here.
Yeah, looks like the Gremlins are running out in sort of like the June Joust meta, that 6-man rush, whereas the Plymouth PMAs rolling out with a slightly slower double bubble comp.
Yeah, the engage comes through from Booney. He does pop that bubble in, but it's gone already, and Arctic, though, does manage to find in a nice Reaper flank, taking out both Maple and Marty, setting up for 4 now picks on the front line. Just an instant destructive take there on the front.
Yeah, Arctic just somehow finds himself like just in a great angle behind the enemy team, and is just able to get so much damage in so fast. Even with their, especially with their faster comp, they're really sort of playing it to their advantage, like just getting in there quick, cleaning up.
Yeah, Maple, though, with a massive opening pick on Big Dog. He's trying to find an angle on the right side here. He's poking out Arctic. The Reaper having to look 2 angles, especially at the Tracer. He's not going to do a whole lot of damage to the tank there. And now Booney jumping in, just pummeled by Ekrim on the Echo. It's nice 2 opening for the side of the PMAs. Boom, 10-11, and Gemini, of course, though, do manage to equalize. Bomb's res. Kind of just trading back and forth here. Ekrim, though, with a massive copy bomb. He's now up on point, just looking for some kind of stickies onto Gemini. Of course, massive sleep coming out from Marty. But the cap is still in favor of the Gremlins here, as Ekrim is still just farming children in the back line. He's so good at the video game. Big Dog drops as well to the sticky bomb, but now Booney's back. He's Primal Raging, just trying to push all the tanks off the objective. And I think the Galapagos Gremlins can maybe hold this.
Yeah, it's looking like a really scrappy, long fight. You know, what that 6-man rush comp is known for. And Arctic comes in with the Death Blossom to clean up the fight. I mean, the Plymouth PMAs, in a slow fight, they have an advantage, but you have to get those cleanups if you want to turn the point and actually capture it. They wasted so much time there being unable to capture the point despite Ikrim getting a 2K with his copy. But both teams have quite a few ultimates here, so they just have to win this fight off of their ults.
Oh, nice bomb from Boomtown 11. Finds the kill onto Marty. Graviton Surge invested by the Kraken does set up for some nice sticky bomb kills for Ikrim, but the D.Va and the Winston synergy is just too strong as they take out everyone else.
Yeah, Krim does his best there, getting a 2K with his sticky grenades, and it looks like Kraken is able to just barely touch with the nano on the ball.
Yeah, that's a lot of stall. Oh, really long stall. He hasn't really taken that much damage. He does have Flomdog as well with the Valkyrie on point. Copy onto Winston here, building up that primal rage. He's popped it, trying to look for those DPS juggles on the backline. Can he do it? He's found Force the Fate of Gemino Curse. Maybe he can set up for that elimination on the Moira. It would be massive here, but instead it's Arctic on the other side, taking on Invictus. Booney finds Flomdog as well, and with this Reaper ult built, I think in the span of 30 seconds or so, Arctic seals the deal.
Yeah, I mean, what a crazy, you know, first point there. We would have thought with the sort of slower fights and getting that stall touch was huge from the Kraken and Marty with the nano, and then we saw Krim come in with the copy, but they just really weren't able to get any of the picks, like even extending the fight as long as they did. And just like the second fight they lost, it just came down to Arctic getting that Death Blossom, finishing up those kills. I mean, this 6-man rush, the June Joust Brawl is just such a tanky, survivable comp. If you can't get the picks, you know, it can just live forever, it seems like.
Yeah, I feel like while you can poke forever with the PMA's comp, like eventually they'll just the Gremlins will just build support ults.
And we see Maple adapting to the Reaper here to maybe try and get a little more burst damage in to be able to achieve those picks.
Yeah, but just so much damage being put out by Arctic, and Big Dog destroys all the Invictus, the resources Invictus has on the main tank. He does manage to find a pin onto Booney, and he's now just field hopping around, trying not to get run over by so many angles. The D.Va, the Reaper, the Echo, all shooting at him. He just has to back out.
Yeah, I gotta wonder. I like the comp coming out here from the Plymouth PMAs. You know, this Brawl comp really being the Reaper Cree being a good counter to this sort of meta comp that was in June Joust. But you gotta remember when you're taking notes off Owl that they have hero bans there.
Yeah. Window popped on high ground. Now Marty's just trying to pressure out Booney. He's kind of isolated the Winston, backing up to point, but is instantly punished by the Reaper of Maple. Beat invested as well by Flomdog, and it's such a huge sustained damage advantage here. The PMA should be able to finish this, but Boom does find a huge bomb onto Ikrim. That's the carry off the field. Maple, though, still is on the Reaper. He's brawling on the objective. Can they do enough damage to take it, though? As Gemino Curse is just doing so much sustain. Massive shatter from Invictus does manage to find both backliners, and that should be it.
Yeah, and it looks like the swap to the Brawl comp paying off for the Plymouth PMAs, but still that fight extending so long. You know, you have Booney come back a second time on the Winston after dying in that fight, and they're just able to stall it for so long.
Yeah, Arctic and Big Dog did build up to those DPS ults as well, so maybe they can get something done here.
I like this swap from the Gremlins as well onto the Brawl comp to mirror.
Yeah, Booney's back on to his signature hero, stepping out there, but is instantly attacked by that window there. Arctic does invest the spin just to kind of push them out of the corner, and so they can't use the window to do any damage. Now, Big Dog, with the copy window of his own, manages to set up for some nice damage there.
Yeah, quite the interesting copy pick, but you know, as a previous support player, you know, maybe Big Dog was just really feeling he could pop off on the Baptiste, wanted to go for the frag window. It's not something you see often, but you know, if it works, it works. So, you know, they got the point, they got the value winning the fight, and here they go again.
This is a really aggressive Coalescence and Engage invested by the Gremlins here. They do manage to find Maple though, but will they be punished? Bomb by the Kraken. That's a really nice split there. Finds Train C. They have no Lucio to kite anymore. And that Reaper is still doing a ton of damage on the front line.
Yeah, this is so hard for the PMAs. They're just getting stuffed. You know, despite investing the beat, the shatter comes out from Booney and they just, you know, aggress nonstop.
That's the power of a star main tank player like Booney there. Just picks up a massive shatter. They did have a bit of an advantageous fight, but the PMAs did manage to trade back some kills, and that shatter there is just exactly what you need to seal the deal. Boom is just destroying everyone who tries to recontest the point. Big Dog with a finishing blow, and that should be it.
Yeah, I'll say, you know, that first map, the Gremlins looking really dominant there, looking really comfortable on that 6-man rush, the June Joust meta style. And the most important thing is they didn't even stay on it too long. As soon as they saw that, you know, the Plymouth PMAs making the good swap to the Brawl comp, you know, making these adjustments, but you know, they're willing. The Gremlins are willing to turn it around and swap off when they need to, not trying to force that comp into a disadvantage, knowing when they need to make the changes and what changes to make in order to stay dominant in the series.
Yeah, I mean, they never really gave the PMAs that much of a chance. Like they played to their strengths. They lost when the PMAs had like a very big advantage, but kind of like they could turn those fights that like the PMAs had like a 60% chance or whatever of winning, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and they just drained so much time and resources from the PMAs to do it, you know, staggering and just surviving on the point. During both of those points, they were able to, you know, the fights that the PMAs won, it wasn't cheap. It took a lot of ultimates and it took a lot of time.
Yeah, time especially with that sustain, which just gave more to the Gremlins when they wanted to retake, right? They had those support ults. They had DPS ults as well from just being able to live so long on the Echo and the Reaper and do so much damage. Like after round one, Arctic on round one, he used a Reaper ult to clean up a fight. I think at like 70% or something, and he had managed to build another one to clean up the recontest fight as well of the next fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I think big performances from a lot of players on the Gremlins overall. You know, Booney looking strong on the main tank, Boom putting in so much damage, eating up so much damage. Big Dog, you know, with the Echo pick, looking very comfortable with that. And Arctic on the Reaper and the supports, like keeping everyone alive, trying to survive themselves. I think individually, it looked like all the Gremlins were sort of on their game, so to speak. So I hope to see the Plymouth PMAs, you know, step it up just a little bit. We know these players can play really aggressively. You know, I've seen them play quite aggressively in the past, and we saw Krim getting a couple multi kills throughout some of the fights. But you know, just trying to, you know, either match the compositions, make those adaptations a little faster, or focus on surviving or fragging just a little bit more. You know, it's got to be difficult though, because I've already just seen that this series probably going to be pretty competitive, the way these teams are sort of counterpicking and adapting on the fly, even just during the first map.
Yeah. And speaking of adaptations, the next map is Eichenwald, and in my experience, it feels like each point has kind of its own meta to it, right? Like what's good on first is not very good on what's on second, and what's good on second is not very good on what's on third. I cannot speak today. But like it'll be interesting to see how the PMAs and the Gremlins kind of swap their compositions up and make sure that their players are not only like playing characters that are good on the sections of the map, but also characters that are strong for the players that are playing them.
Yeah, Eichenwald definitely, you know, you have that first point where you kind of have the choke under the bridge that you got to somehow make it through. A lot of teams can try and hold there, or even when you get to nearing the point, you know, going around one corner or the other, you know, there's a number of chokes there. And the second point with the notorious high ground, like If you run Brawl on first, that rotation to the high ground on second isn't the easiest. You got to be pretty coordinated and pretty skilled to get through that, with fire raining from above the whole while. And then on third point, we're back to a narrow space. So I think this will be a good chance to see, a number of these teams' compositions and how comfortable they are playing these sort of different styles, or if they're going to continue to force a certain style. But so far, I'd expect to see a little bit of adaptation, to the map itself, just from what we've seen in the last map. But maybe I shouldn't lean too heavily into that.
Yeah. Definitely be interesting to see what the teams put out here, and it seems like the PMAs have swapped up their lineup a little bit. Marty is now on the tank with Rybro getting put in off the bench onto the support, and the Kraken is now on DPS, so Rybro.
Yeah, Marty's off tank. I've seen it, over the last couple years, and he's really comfortable on the Zarya and the D.Va from what I've seen. So, he's a pretty, good game sense, good aimer. I think he'll have a lot of impact on that role, even if classically people sort of think of him as more of a support player. I think this looks like a pretty strong lineup. It looks like they're trying to work in some picks here and change things up. And if they're going to roll out on this Brawl composition, I think it's a good start. We're seeing that the Gremlins are going to try and play their June Joust comp one more time here, the zombie comp as some people call it, and just sort of run it down at this bridge choke as soon as the PMAs approach it.
Yeah, Booney's probably going to look for a nice bubble engage here, just drop off the high ground and split the back line. He ends up dropping behind them here, so not a great split, but a lot of damage is put in by the Winston there. And that sets up Arctic and Boom nicely for some eliminations. Grim does manage to trade out Big Dog, but I mean, one trade for 5 is not going to take you to a deep fight.
Yeah, Rybro's the first pick there. That Moira that's so important for this Brawl composition to stay alive. I don't know if he had used his Fade previously or was just completely caught unaware, but basically, he just got picked off in the first seconds, and it's almost impossible for the Brawl comp to win that fight at that point.
Yeah, Marty Invictus running in back once again, but Booty with a huge bubble, splitting up a lot of healing. Arctic on the flank does manage to take out Rybro once again, and without that healing, just like look at Invictus's health, he's so low, he has to hold right click and just slowly walk out.
Yeah, everyone on the PMAs just having to back out as soon as they lose that Moira again. But look at how low Rybro is on the coalescence here. 2 fights in, you'd hope to have that ultimate by now, but the Gremlins are doing such a good job of picking him off.
Yeah, and Arctic is coming up huge on the Reaper every single time here. Primal Rage invested by Booney as well. It's a 4v6. He's kind of just BMing here at this point. Do you have no curse taken up by Crim in the backline, though? I think they will be able to find the punish onto the Reaper, though, so...
Yep, that pick from Crim being really big here. Now the Boonies are going to have to back up. They don't have that main support, and they don't quite have the ultimates to sustain, a real engage from the Plymouth PMAs, so they opt to play it safe, and now maybe the PMAs can get in and onto the point for a Brawl here and really push their compositional advantage.
Yeah, getting past the choke has made things harder for Booney here, but he still manages to find a nice bubble onto the Ryan there. Arctic inside the tiny room with the Reaper does manage to find the Kraken, but it's Crim and Marty on the other side. Booney and Boom, though, on the tank line is just too powerful.
Yeah. And they hardly had to invest any ultimates there. They used the Coalescence, they used the Reaper ult, but still they trade that and win the fight, and they still have the beat in the back pocket just in case, for whenever Marty uses this Graviton. We'll have to see if they can get value off of that or the Shatter or Death Blossom here.
2 Reapers on the field has to be terrifying if you're the PMAs here, but Big Dog with the spin inside the Graviton Surge. He doesn't care about the danger. Ekrib, though, does manage to pop a spin of his own, and now it's just the supports and tanks here on the objective. Boom is popped out of the mech. He does have some damage, but Kraken and Rybro are popping off on the point here. Big Dog. Oh, Boom of the Baby D.Va takes out the heals as well. Invictus, though, comes back from spawn. The attackers do have a huge spawn advantage here. Takes out both those squishy targets. And now it's just kill for kill as Krim is back on the Tracer here. Booney does have Primal Rage as well as the beat. Invested by Traincy. It's a lot of sustain for the PMAs to deal with, but the Gremlins are not finding a whole lot of eliminations off the back of their sustain. Boom does manage to take out Krim. Marty, though, does trade out Traincy on the other side, and now Arctic is in the backline trying to take out Ribro once again. He manages to set up Boom for it, but at what cost is Marty and the Kraken are still finding so much value on the objective here. Arctic taken out, and without that threat there, yeah, the point just flips immediately.
Yeah, basically a great stall there from the Gremlins. You know, you have Arctic come back on the Doomfist, coming back with Booney and Traincy, you know, all fast heroes able to sort of survive and potentially get value, and it looked like they could turn it almost at one point, but even though they couldn't, now the PMAs are pushing into point 2 with less than 2.5 minutes left, and this is a hard point to push.
Yeah, the PMAs do have a wealth of ultimates here as the Kraken pops the copy onto the D.Va and just ints into the backline. He knows he has that bomb to remech as well as the remech damage to try and find some sort of elimination. He is taken out of his copy there and finished off by Boom and Gemino Curse combined, but does create a ton of space for his team to try and get some high ground control. Krim is now in the backline, poking some people here. Invictus does engage onto the backline as well. Ribro manages to help combine with the Winston to take out Gemino Curse, and that's massive. It's hard to be a zombie if you can't get healed all the time by a Moira.
And the Cole coming out from Ribro. This could be huge.
Yeah, Big Dog pops the copy onto the Moira. Probably not what he was looking for here. Is still has not built up a Coalescence after about 5 or 6 seconds of his copy. Coalescence, though, late in the fight, does manage to keep some sustain here on the objective. And now, Invictus has popped the Primal Rage of his own. He's trying to find some sort of boop kill. Manages to boop the Lucio off the map. It's massive. Marty as well, just doing so much damage as the D.Va. The shotguns in this beefy composition is going to do a whole lot on that character. And I think the PMAs have managed to win it out here as Krim pops the pulse bomb inside the spawn of the Galapagos Gremlins.
Yeah, losing Gem that early in the fight there, you know, to Ribro is pretty big against the Gremlins, but they still managed to get so much stall time on the cart there. Really, just it seems like their main goal here is, even if they don't win, just, you know, eat as much time as they can.
Yeah, engage from Booney here onto the payload. It's a lot of space control right now for the Gremlins here, but Krim does manage to take out Arctic. Without that Reaper, it's going to be so hard to have enough damage to finish off any targets, and you can see it. Marty and Victus just going so aggressive as tanks. They know they don't have that Reaper to worry about anymore. Massive pulse bomb from Krim is probably going to be the seal for this team fight here and allow the PMAs to take second.
Yeah, it is so hard to successfully do that stall and win the fight without ultimates there. You know, the Gremlins coming in without any ultimates. They make the swaps here. They're now playing the sort of counter composition, the brawl with the Kree Reaper to counter this sort of rush composition that the PMAs are running here. But the PMAs have ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, the Gremlins also reset their ultimate economy. Marty with a massive bomb, finding through the backline. Copy shatter as well from the Kraken. Invictus kind of just jumped onto D.Va bomb there. Honestly, it could be very difficult for the PMAs to cap because of that. They need their Winston here. It's like Booney's recontested here, and they don't have a main tank to hard pressure him out. Boas is though invested by Ribro, but now Arctic's in the backline. He's taken out the Kraken. Pin onto Marty as well. He's dropped so low. Krim does manage to trade out Pulse Bomb onto Big Dog, but Arctic punishes him for it immediately, and now the PMAs have to back.
Yeah, like you said, losing that main tank there makes it so hard to push the advantage if you don't have any ultimates. They had blown 3 of them at the start of that fight in order to get all of that space, but you know, they're not able to keep the pressure on, keep the snowball going, and Arctic again coming in with the Doomfist stall, getting that pick. It's just enough to turn the tides, and now the PMAs are going to have to figure out how they want to approach this point with, you know, no ultimates here basically, except for Marty's bomb coming up.
10 seconds left on the clock as Invictus goes for some kind of engage, just trying to crawl his way back onto the objective. He knows they need to touch now, but his team is just getting punished so heavily for the fact that they have to just run across open space. Marty and Victus, though, they do combine for 2 kills on the objective here. Kraken is stalling. He does have the copy diva, so there is a decent amount of sustain from the 2 tanks here. Booney does manage to find the pin onto Invictus, but Arctic taken out by the bomb.
Oh my gosh.
Kraken, though, punished, and this should be curtains for the PMAs on their offense here. Unless some crazy magic happens. Oh, Ekrim walking into the diva mech is just... You can't have that happen in a clutch situation like that, right? Like, there's no way you can clutch. If
yeah, Doomfist there being the main, you know, pick potential that they had, but it looked like, you know, Krim said, nice shot, you know, giving Boom a little bit of acknowledgement for how he set up that remech kill. I didn't quite catch it myself, but must have been something clever. And we sort of see there, you know, the Gremlins doing a great job of draining the time from the PMAs throughout the first 2 points and making that third point, you know, having the sort of the spawn advantage and being able to come back in these extended fights and get the picks that they need, able to stop them from capping all 3 points, basically, you know, after their one shot on the third point, using all their ultimates like right off the bat to decisively get a lot of space and get a fight when they weren't able to just quite close it out. So I'm interested to see, you know, how the PMAs are going to approach this defense. It looks like they're trying to play a slower comp, a more spread out spam composition in order to make it a little harder for the rush style of the Gremlins, basically forcing them to choose a single target, you know, among many split up to run over and just try and poke them out all along the way or disrupt with the ball. I think it's a good strategy. The key just comes down to, can Ribro and can Flomdog survive long enough, and can they get the value, you know, when the rush comp is sort of out in the open taking the poke.
Yeah, and I think the key here is Ribro with Yana. If you can anti-nade, the Moira just doesn't do anything as a character. He is set up in the mini room to try and find an angle from high ground, but his tanks go very aggressive here. Invictus and Marty combining for 2. Big Dog ends up suiciding in some manner as Marty and Victus just take a fight out of LOS of the backline, and they just manage to kill everybody.
Yeah, start of the fight there, Krim is able to take out Train C on the Lucio, and without that speed, really, the Gremlins composition is sort of like sitting ducks. They don't have their mobility to engage on the backline anymore, and they just sort of slowly get poked down and taken out.
Yeah. Now they do manage to find their way in, though, just as Krim does take out Arctic, though, in the backline. Boom, 10-11 on the objective. He does so much work for them on the Diva in all of these team fights. Can he manage to come up huge for them again now? As Flomdog is kind of chunking him out. Krim finds Gemino Curse again, so the sustain is very poor for the Gremlins here, as Victus can just roll around here. A lot of the damage they do here will be permanent on the side of the PMAs. Bomb invested as well, just making it so that they have a consistent tank presence on the point, as now Marty's forced to step up and stall, but now he's pushed out by the damage of Arctic back on the Tracer. Engage comes in once again. They're just trying to stall this out as Krim falls the Big Dog. Yeah, just Marty on the point here. He's just trying to get some time. Mines, though, invested by Invictus. Maybe he thinks he can win it. And it does force out both the Coalescence and the beat from Gemino Curse, or from the backline of the Gremlins.
This stall is so huge, but unfortunately it's just not going to be enough for the Plymouth PMAs to be able to hold the first point. That said, you know, the Mines and Nano getting traded for both support alts, you'll take that trade. It's a slightly good trade for you. Maybe not the best trade, but you know, forcing those ultimates out gives them a good chance to potentially hold here. But the Gremlins already have the high ground, and now the PMAs are going to have to push into it.
Yeah, but that's a massive first elimination. Big Dog falls as well, and the Kraken is still in copy form. He's got 10 seconds, a good 10 seconds or so to build that Primal Rage, which he's just popped, and now he's just farming the backline with the damage. A bit stuck on the wall, but an Arctis does manage to find Krim on the other side. Booney as well.
Oh my
with
gosh.
2 massive eliminations. Rivro, the main healer for the PMAs, falls late in this fight, and now the advantage is on the side of the Gremlins as they've recaptured all of high ground, and the PMAs are still in spawn.
Absolutely huge play by Booney there, turning that fight. It looked like they weren't going to be able to hold it, but the spawns coming in for the Gremlins and those picks were able to turn the tide.
Investing the pulse bomb. Somehow Boom is forced out of the mech or uses the bomb and is taken out for a bit of an aggressive mech kill. Arctic though just managed to take out Crim once again. He's been doing really good in the Tracer 1v1, especially considering the ranks of the players. And
these fights are so fast and so extended here. It's like it's almost like they're never ending, and pretty much the whole time the Gremlins have been able to push the point with only minor stalls coming in.
Yeah.
I don't know about that bomb from Marty though. He might want that one back. Quickly stalls the point and then pops the bomb and thought he might get out, but chases down the kill.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I think other than that mech kill and that kill from Booney, I think Arctic got every single final blow in that fight. Just a massive performance from the captain there.
Yeah, and he's been pretty consistently influential in these fights, you know, on the Reaper and the Tracer here. Getting several picks a fight, it seems like. And on the Doomfist as well.
Grim, though, does manage to find an opening frag onto Gemino Curse. Kraken as well, takes out Trincy, so there's no support anymore on the field for the side of the Gremlins, and now Invictus is just free to tase everyone up on the objective.
It's exactly what the PMAs needed. It looks like Booney's still in the backline here. Maybe gonna go for a back cap, but if they can call him out for it, they can. It looks like Flomdog doesn't notice. Booney's sneaking behind, tasing Flomdog, and we'll have to see if his team turns around to help.
Yeah, Arctic did manage to take out Ekrim though, so with the huge distraction of Booney, the numbers advantage and the chaos has allowed the Gremlins to just come up huge in this fight. Big Dog takes out the Kraken, and
big beat from Train C there to help Booney stay alive through it too. You know, even after getting antied, he was able to live long enough for the team to come and support and clean up those last kills and cap the point. Really unexpected play there.
The Gremlins are definitely looking for some snowball kills here as they manage to find Flomdog, and they have a massive ult advantage here as well.
Yeah, they can come in with the copy from Big Dog. I'm curious if he's going to copy a support again, or maybe he'll go in with the Winston, and he goes for the Winston.
Yeah, copy here from Big Dog. Now he's a big gorilla in the backline. Arctic finds a pulse bomb off the chaos, and now Big Dog is in. He's got the primal rage if he wants to use it, and he does. Booping out the nano boosted, or that's never mind. I'm dumb. Marty though, being pushed back so far, now bombing the objective desperately at the very last second. Someone needs to touch the point. The Kraken TP's in. Marty as well is there. They have a lot of damage to sustain on the objective. It's going to be really hard with the spawns here for the Gremlins to clean this out, but they do have the Coalescence. They're pushing back in. So much damage onto the tanks as Marty falls. Booney as well pops the Primal Rage. They can push further with that, trying to find some kind of space. Tire invested by Ekrim, but the beat to match by Trincy is massive. The Tire has to wait it out, and
they C9.
They C9.
Oh my gosh, that was almost huge. Crim swapping to the Junkrat. That last fight is able to build the Tire right away, and just as he's sort of teasing the Tire around, wandering for a multi-kill, his team steps off the point, and they lose it.
Yeah, and that fight, I
mean,
big sad. Yeah, the PMAs definitely had a chance to win that fight there. They had the ults, they had the sustain, they have spawns, right? Like, sure the Gremlins had like a primal, they had used Nicole a little bit earlier, but once they use those ults, they don't have it anymore. Whereas having a really close spawn is a permanent advantage. It's just like you're always going to get back way faster.
Yeah, as long as, you know, they survive those ultimates, they can win the fight at that point, pretty much. They start getting theirs online, but, you know, it does happen, unfortunately. But I will say that, you know, the Gremlins did a really good job, I think, just putting so much pressure onto the Plymouth, and especially their backline onto Flomdog and Ribro, really forcing them to play passively or get punished. And we saw a lot of clever plays there coming out. The one fight on second where the PMAs really could have taken advantage of their map control and their defensive positioning. Besides that last point, Booney was somehow left unknown in the backline, and he was able to get that. I don't know, not a C9, but just sort of tases Flomdog on point, forces him to turn around, forces his team to turn around, and his team's able to push up and use that space in order to get the picks that they need to win the fight. And playing main tank, making that sort of space, you can do it in all sorts of creative ways, and that was definitely a less expected way of doing that.
Yeah, I like that play. I think caused some chaos in the comms of the PMAs. Like they weren't exactly sure of what was going on because of course it's the Winston's in the backline. They weren't expecting it. They thought, of course, the Winston's going to be regrouping with his team, but instead he's behind, and now some people turn around. It's hard to coordinate, who turns around and when, and um, as a result, Ekrim got punished by Trey on the Tracer, and they could just the Gremlins could just push that advantage all
Yeah.
the way, right?
As a tracer, that's exactly what you want to. You want the other team scattered and trying to figure out what's going on and turning around, turning their backs to you so that you can go in for a pick like that. Pretty much the perfect setup for Arctic to go in there and get that pick. The entire PMA is sort of confused about, oh no, something's C9, someone's on the back line, like what's going on. That sort of surprise factor might have taken them by surprise, but this composition, the Gremlins are playing this sort of zombie comp or pseudo zombie comp, looking to be pretty strong even into the brawl style, the Rhine brawl style of the PMAs. Whereas you would think it would sort of get punished a little more by the Rhine. It seems like their aggression is their greatest strength. Is just they push the fight to the limits even when they're down. And especially those quick engages and unexpected plays sort of coming together to put a lot of pressure, make it very difficult on the PMAs. And it seems like PMAs may be having a little bit of difficulty keeping up the pace, that fast pace that the Gremlins are playing here.
Yeah, the Gremlins are definitely comfortable on the comp they're running, and it is definitely a very versatile comp as well, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like sure the Winston on the front line is not a Reinhardt, but he's close to Reinhardt. He does have a ton of cleave. He can build up that primal rage, and
Mm-hmm.
he does have things the Reinhardt doesn't have, where he can disengage individually very easily. He can pressure the backline a lot easier. He has that leap. He has the mobility. Um, so not it's like not the perfect brawl comp, and it's not the perfect dive comp, but it's very, very flexible. Um, which is really nice, especially like on a map like Eichenwald, where you can like first you want to brawl and second you want to dive. And if you're playing Ryan on first, you have to swap. But if you're playing Winston on first and you're playing this zombie comp, you don't have to swap. You can kind of force it's like instead of forcing like a square into a circle hole, you're forcing like a hexagon into a circle hole. It's a little easier to do, right?
Yeah, just a little bit closer to the right shape that the ideal shape that you want. Yeah, and I think the thing that they did the best, which really paid off for them, was after capping that first point, the Gremlins were so fast to take the castle high ground and just remove that space from the PMAs, forcing the PMAs to fight back into them for it. That's where a lot of teams have trouble basically with pushing the cart, is when they have to push the cart low ground and also contest high ground. But they throw one person on the cart to push. I think it might have been one of the supports, and the rest of them just go take the high ground, and they're able to get the push the whole time while controlling the map as the PMA sort of regrouped from their new spawn and were forced to sort of play the offensive position to take the good position on the map back. And with that, they didn't really get stalled on second at all, and they were able to sort of make the plays that they needed to get the cart where it was going.
Yeah. And if you look at like the defense of the Gremlins, even when the PMAs tried to take high ground or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
The zombie comp is just so sustainable, right? So like they can go into a fight where they're at a disadvantage and it takes like 40 seconds to a minute for them to lose. Even though
Yeah.
it's inevitable that they will lose. They just live for so long and it takes so much time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we saw like a 3-person cart contest that took a minute to clear. But that's the last map. We're moving on to the next one. The PMAs have chosen Junkertown here, maybe looking to switch up the compositional style here. You know, this Junkertown being such an open map, maybe not one of the best ones for Brawl and Rush comps, but, you know, it's interesting. We could see them. It does tend to lean into the DPS flavor, so our favor. We could be looking at, you know, some long-range hit scan, long-range snipers, maybe even Echo. Isn't too bad on this map, but it seems like they really just don't want to give the map advantage strength to the Brawl and Rush style that the Gremlins have been playing so far. And, you know, if the picks we're seeing in Spawn are true, Krim on the Widow and Maple on the Hanzo, it might be pretty difficult for the Gremlins to hold this map. But if they're going to play this close spawn, and if they're able to execute it successfully, they might be able to knock off a lot of time on first.
Yeah, the spawn hold is really strong, especially with that May Reaper comp, and it's exactly what the Gremlins have been thriving off of in the rest of the series here. Maple Lewis on the Sombra, he can put some point presence here, manages to find a hack onto the Reaper, getting some nice farm here on the Sombra, and taking a lot of attention as well, which sets up a nice kill for Grim there on the Widow. And the payload is moving. The Gremlins have to do something about it. Even though they're getting kills, they're just gonna have to back up, and they can't hold spawn anymore.
Victus gets off the point though, and I'm not sure what the point is, because the weakness of playing this point hold is when the point leaves, you have to choose, but they're not forcing the choice here.
Yeah, they're not at all. I think both teams are kind of missing the point here, as it's, you know, a good 50 feet from
literally missing
here.
the point.
There's
Maple. Maple is missing the point.
Objective pressure, please.
Yeah, and it looks like they're sort of doing this dance and spawn. Invictus and Maple on the point here. Please just push it away. Arctic has to turn around and sort of deal with it, which weakens the front line and gives them a little more chance to get some poke.
Yeah, and with Arctic so split from his team, it sets up for a nice and easy kill for Maple there on the Sombra. He's managed to push the cart unintentionally all the way to the corner there as he pushes back in towards his spawn once again to try and help his teammates out.
Yeah, I think, you know, with only 3 people left, it's inevitable the Gremlins are going to lose this fight, but still, they're able to just eat so much time just because the PMAs don't sort of prioritize the objective. They could probably have it to the end of the point by now. You know, if that was sort of their main objective, but they sort of zone in and focus in on the frontline fight, trying to get, you know, their backline out of spawn, get everyone out of spawn and in positions here.
Yeah, I know. It's Booney versus Bashi on the payload. Shatter onto Ribro as well. Arctic and Boom with taking the final blows there, but it's a really nice play from Booney there on the front line. Finds a pin onto Invictus as well, and I mean, these brawl fights are just extremely dominant on the side of the Gremlins at this point.
I'm impressed. The Gremlins know exactly what they want. They want to go for Bashi, they want to go for Ribro, destroy the support line, and then, you know, if Krim can't get 6 picks in a fight, they're just gonna win the fight if there's no support on the other team. So, you know, their comp's a little harder for the front line of the PMAs to you know, get picks off of.
Bashi and Marty here in on a flank, but they're countered by both massive CC ults from the side of the Gremlins. Booney trying to pin Invictus off the map, but the Breaking Ball does have the grappling hook back.
Big Dog maybe with a little bit of a BM solo onto Krim, you know, point blank. Not sure what that was about, but they did win the fight there. So, you know, I'm not going to question it. You know, don't worry about it if it's working, basically. But
yeah,
they're a little low on ultimates here for the defense. Actually, they have 3 basically coming up, whereas the PMAs don't have any after their tank swaps.
Yeah.
To, of course, spam composition.
The PMAs don't have much, but they at least still have Krim alive. Maybe he can make something happen here. Arctic, though, does just take that dream away from the PMAs immediately, as I said that. Now it's just Marty on the Roadhog. Massive hook onto Arctic, but he's forced to back out.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about this spam front line. It seems like it could just get run over, and a big grab from Boom.
Yeah, Boom is set up on the off angle. Big Dog punished for his aggression, and now Marty almost had the opportunity to punish Boom there. He is frozen up and bailed out. Boom is bailed out by the male of Arctic there, but now Marty's back on the front line. He's carrying away so many resources from the side of the Gremlins. Massive hook onto Gemini, of course, so that Baptiste is gone as well. Fight looking pretty good for the PMAs, but Big Dog is back on the Tracer. Manages to take out E-Crib. Nano Boost committed onto Marty, but he's just being CC'd and punched and booped by the Rhine and the freeze that he can't really do anything.
Yeah, the Gremlins looking very comfortable, very dominant on this rush style. It seems like it's been very difficult for the PMAs to sort of get the picks on these survivable heroes. You know, the Mei, you get the hook on her, she still gets the ice block off. It's sort of hard to get that one shot. And, you know, the Baptiste having the lamp, the Lucio having the beat, and the Rhine Shield just there, making it just very difficult for the PMAs to get the picks that they need. But, you know, I would have liked to see them play it a little bit more spread out, a little bit differently there on the attack, you know, really taking advantage of the long range of this map that they picked. You know, you can counterpick the map to the comp, but with the way the Gremlins were playing it, they were playing it close, they were playing it fast. You know, they did what they needed to do, and it seemed like the PMAs sort of struggled to adapt their style while they adapt the map and their composition. It seems like they just didn't quite have the play style down of how they could really make it difficult on the rush style, forcing them to split their focus, forcing them to play into long range. And on the defense here, it looks like they're going to sort of match the Brawl front line, but keep a long-range DPS line to sort of keep those sight lines and keep that long-range abusable, and basically remove the possibility of, you know, getting picked off by a sort of close-range Brawl.
Yeah, and I mean, even though they have the Rhine Zard here, that doesn't change the fact that, like Ikrim and Maple here, they're gonna have to take off angles, and like put a lot of spam damage in, or else they're just gonna get rolled by frontline comp.
Arctic with two huge first picks onto the Mercy and the Echo there, really gonna just open up this point, and already the PMAs are sort of in a very scary spot where they're gonna have to hold this last corner down two.
Yeah, Invictus with his shield broken. That's an easy hook for Boom on the Roadhog there, and now they're just walking at them. There's nothing really that the PMAs can do because they're just continuously staggered. Someone needs to like come up massive, or else the cart will just roll in.
The Gremlins just so dominant all series. They Arctic with the huge first two picks in that fight, and you know the rest of them, you know, probably just calling go 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 and rolling through the the PMA's front line after that, because they can't just back up. They didn't push it far enough. They can't get all the way out. They have to hold that corner, and the Gremlins here looking like a very strong, or having a very strong showing, 3-0 onto the Plymouth PMAs.
Yeah, and looking at the side of the Gremlins, who do you think, I guess, would you say stood out in this series for them?
You know, I at the start, after the first map, I thought everyone played well, but I think I gotta give it to Arctic. You know, in the first map on the Reaper, showing huge impact, getting those Death Blossoms, two Death Blossoms in the first point, and just getting, you know, several picks every fight, looking very strong on the Reaper. You know, starting off the series on the Tracer, on Eichenwald, looking very strong. And then here in this last map, having that, you know, those first two picks on the Hanzo, he just overall throughout the series, I think he looked very strong with and without his ultimates, and just playing that DPS role, that sort of carry DPS role that you want to see, being able to go in there, get the picks, get the value, and open things up and make things easier on your already strong tank line. Not to say that Booney and Boom didn't go in there really strong, but I think, you know, that strong tank line was aided even more by Arctic himself, making that extra space by playing aggressively with them.
Yeah, Arctic definitely came up huge in the series. I would personally give a bit of a shout out to Booney on the main tank, but like with his performance, Mecha Base,
Absolutely.
massive shatters, his Winston as well, looking phenomenal on Eichenwald,
Mm-hmm.
and he when you're playing a map like Junkertown on a composition that's not very good for the map, it's really like on your tank players to understand their role perfectly and take out any sort of like um unoptimal play or a wasteful movement or rotation or shield usage, or else you'll just get that shield broken so much more. And it matters so much more because the sightlines are so much longer. You have to cross so much more distance and you have to play so much more discipline. So I think
Yep.
Booney as well performed
Yep.
very well this match.
Yep.
But
Yep. Playing that role that he needed to, and having also that one play from the back line, going in to surprise the PMAs with a cart touch and contest on Eichenwald second.
but yeah.
What do you think?
Hmm. I f- I think you are the color caster, Rory, the
All right.
analyst here. So
I will go ahead. I will throw my analyst hat in, and I will say Trey or Arctic. With the big pop off plays, love to see that. I want to crown him with the MVP here for this match. Just looking so dominant, and even contesting, Krim on that DPS role. It's just looking so strong.
for
So
sure.
if we can get Trey in here for the interview, we'll go ahead.
Oh hey.
Hello, Arctic.
Hi. I have to be
How-
a little quick here. I got a scrim.
Okay, you got
Okay.
a scrim. Real quick, how do you feel about that match, and what do you
Pretty
think
fun.
helped you to pop off as hard as you did?
The schmunky comp.
The
We just
Schmonkey Cup?
we run into them and they die.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was how you guys played it. Very fast and very punishing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like your team kind of stepped up their performance at all this game, or
Definitely on
made
brawl.
any on
Our
brawl?
brawl was like really bad before, and this game we actually played pretty well on it, I think.
Yeah, the brawl looked actually quite good, and it seems like you have, you're in a rush here. So I'll go ahead, get the last question in. If you were not the MVP for this round, who would you pick?
I think Boom popped off pretty hard today. He got a lot of kills, and he had like 86 average energy last map. Kind of
Yeah,
high.
yeah, on
That is
Junkertown
okay.
too, and the
Yeah.
Graviton. Yeah, the remake kills. Boom looked like he popped off the whole time
Yeah.
too.
He was crazy today.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time. Good luck in your
Thank
scrim,
you,
man.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get booted from your team.
I hope I do. I mean, what?
All
Okay, bye.
right, thanks for coming, Trey.
Yep, peace.
Yeah.
All right, and I think that's all we got for you guys today. A quick match, but quite the showing from the Gremlins. The PMAs looking a little more hesitant, a little more slow, but I really I can't see how the Gremlins could have played it any better. It seemed like they were just, they knew what they wanted to do. They did such a good job the whole time, and they really are looking like one of the stronger teams with this now 3-0 record coming into this next weekend. Where I think we have the playoffs.
Yeah. The other thing is, I believe the match of the Wakanda BBQs versus the Bendigo Bilbies is going to be tomorrow, 7 p.m. Uh, it's not guaranteed to be produced, so just keep posted for that. There'll be an announcement or something, I'm sure, if it ends up being casted, or else you can check out some of the players' individual streams. I think.
Yep. Keep an eye out on the announcements. You'll hear more later, and there should be some games, coming up throughout the weekend or next week as well. So, thank you guys for joining us. Hope it was an enjoyable one, and we'll catch you next time.